Hello, I'm Jake, aka HamStuff, and I'm a man, as you might well know. And there are 4 things that a man needs to survive. He needs chocolate. Yummy, yummy chocolate. He needs Marvel movies. He requires tea. And he needs video games. And this being a gaming channel, you won't be too surprised to learn it's the latter of these that I'm talking about today.
So out of everything, what is my favourite video game? Those who know my content may well say No Man's Sky. It's a pretty good guess. Those who know me in person may say Ratchet & Clank or Minecraft. Also, each of those is a very good guess. However, neither of those are my favourite video game. Thing you've probably not heard of, called Road Trip Adventure. So why this particular game? There's so many games in the world. There's games about this, games about that. There's anything you can think of, there's a video game about. There's even one where you get to be a cat. So what is Road Trip Adventure? What's it like? Well, it's like Gran Turismo or Dirt Rally. You thunder around a racetrack or a dirt track, beat your lap time and beat your competitors again and again, and then move on to another. It's like an exploration game. I can't think of any examples. You go across the world, see the sights, check out what it's got to offer. It's like Rocket League. Get to play car football. It's like back in the olden days of the PS2. There's a couple of, I don't know what to call them other than collections of mini games. It was like a whole full video game. It was intertwined or entirely separate bunch of small little games that don't take much time and aren't hopefully all that difficult. To trivia or a jump from one place to another or an obstacle course. And it's a bit like gambling games, this Road Trip Adventure, in that one of the towns there's a casino. You play roulette. You don't actually win or lose real money, sadly, as I've worked out the best way of winning money. And by perfect, I don't just mean turn your console off and try again if you lose. That's the second best method. It's like all of those. In Road Trip Adventure, you are a car. And what type of car you are is down to you. Not initially. There'll be one of 3 body types. I don't know what either of them are. They're just cars to me. I do like cars, I just don't know everything about them. But hey, if you don't like it, change it. Just go to the body shop and purchase a new body for your car. I spent a lot of time driving around in this GTR. Oh, I can't do that. I can't afford it. Well, I guess I'll go racing. That's a good way to earn money. So, begin in Peach Town with the track called Peach Raceway. Typical asphalt circuit. 3 laps, drive around, get some money. You probably won't win. But if you spend that money on upgraded parts, you will. Or if you want to fancy something a little different, drive to Fuji City and check out the sights of Peachtown on the way. 2 entire towns that are there, full of people. And by people I mean cars. Driving around, you can go in buildings, talk to other cars. Fuji City, as the name may imply, is more Japanese-esque, whereas Peachtown is a sleepy English village, that small town. And of course, being Japan, you drive through a ninja temple, or around a ninja temple, and through the moat. Going out, you go to, let's say, you don't skip over that turn off. That doesn't seem to be on the main road. Yeah, I'll go down there. You come across a place called My City. Not Jake's city as indeed is mine. My, the word my, city. And that's not like the others. There's nothing. It's sparse, with a road layout, and no buildings, aside from a real estate company. If you're going there, they'll offer you a garage. If you say no, they'll ask you again if you want a garage. If you say no, they'll ask you again if you want a garage. If you say no, they'll ask you again if you want a garage. If you say no, they'll ask you again if you want a garage. Eventually, you give in and say yes. Yes, I do want a garage. But it's free. All you have to do is tell other people. Let's say if you build it, they will come. In this, it's the opposite. When you tell them about it, they come, they build stuff. And you can go around endurance run. Which, instead of standard 3 laps, it's 10. And it's a slightly longer track than most places. And being 10 laps, if you've got a powerful engine, you have to pit. You just drive into the pits and your fuel refills automatically. It's not Formula 1. All you had to do is choose when to pit. So that's done. San Polos. Basically Vegas, baby! That's where the casino is. So, naturally, you go to what's on it. So you have what's known as a Q's factory. Q apostrophe S factory. Spelling with Jake. And that's where you do the races, change parts, save your game. That last one comes in handy if you lose, because you just go back to the save file. Which I don't condone. I've never bet all my hard-earned winnings from racing on the roulette and lost. Oh, and the answer to your question, yes, of course. Of course. Being a car, you drive onto the roulette wheel in order to play. Why? Well, I suppose in a world run by cars, that makes sense. More than normally, you just throw a little ball on roulette. I don't know how real life roulette works. Yeah, you throw a ball, and whatever number it lands on, you lose your money. Unless that's your money one you pass on. A bit on red or black, categories of numbers or individual numbers. At this point, I'm wondering how a video about my favourite game turned into Jake's Guide to Roulette. So the trick to roulette is to use British roulette, because American roulette wheels have a double zero. British roulette wheels only have the single zero. So you have a slightly better chance of winning. Still less than 50%. But assuming you do win and don't want to gamble more, you'll leave, check out the rest of the town, maybe the cake shop, or go back to the Goose Factory. Race around the desert. Or an abandoned amusement park. Wait, abandoned? This road's going round. It's lit up. Well, it's called Night Glow Raceway. So, from there, Chestnut Canyon. Called, you have Miner 49er Raceway. Drive around an old mine and quarry. Or Lava Run Raceway. Some sort of factory inside what appears to be the magma chamber of a volcano. As one does. Then Mushroom Road. You have Oval Raceway. It's an asphalt track in the shape of an oval. You have Slick Track, which is that with an extra turn on one of the straights. And it is sopping wet. Like, incredibly wet. So there's not much grip. Or River Raceway. Is it River Raceway or River Run Raceway? I can never remember the name of it. I played it a couple of days ago. You drive around a river valley. You start by driving off a cliff. After that, White Mountain. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a white mountain. And it's covered in snow. That's why it's white. So if you don't fancy old Snow Mountain Raceway, you drive up snowy roads and across the frozen lake. And ice isn't particularly grippy. So you've got to be careful on those turns. After that, you can either drive up the mountain, have a go at the ski jump, or drive through the tunnel in the mountain. Actually, that's not the only tunnel. So you can drive along a fork in the road? I wouldn't quite say it's a fork, but you drive along one road, it takes you down across the bridge, across the frozen lake, a tunnel that takes you out by a river, which is the same river outside of Peach Town, and that takes you back where you started. Alternatively, go through the tunnel through the mountain, jump out into the ocean, where you meet the black bus Orpheus, who some believe to be a ghost, and you meet Sidon in the Underwater Temple, and get a wing set and propeller for driving underwater. You know, just normal everyday stuff. And of course you get directions to Papaya Island. Just keep going the way you were. It's the direction. So you drive out onto the beach, go to the Q's factory, and you race at Sunny Beach Raceway, which is a collection of sunny beaches. Or my favourite, Lagoon Raceway. You drive through a lagoon. The clue is often in the name. And then you drive through a tunnel or a gap. I don't suppose you could quite call it a tunnel, but a gap in a cliff face or rock face, whatever you want to call it. Go along the river, jump out at the right speed, the right angle, don't fall off the tiny little island that's there. There's a rainbow covered hut with a rainbow coming out of it. Enter, and someone called Pol asks if you want to go to Cloud Hill. You say yes. You drive up a rainbow and onto a floating island of rock in the sky. Collected to other floating islands of rock in the sky by rainbows. This is the last and the hardest race in the game, called Tin Raceway. It's the only one you can fall off. I don't mean just go off the road into a gravel trap, I mean fall down into the sky, and that's your race over. It's Road to Adventure Stars onto Rainbow Road. But okay, you're not interested in racing. I don't really want to thunder around a track. That's not my kind of game. Okay, go meet people. When you drive up to a car in the world, you can talk to them. I suppose there's no point in having teammates if you're interested in racing, but there's a thing you can do. But maybe you're not a people person. You like mini games. Okay. Beat Start. You have barrel run. You drive up a slope with barrels rolling down it towards you. You've got to dodge them and get to the top. In Fuji City, you have a sliding door race. Basically a drag race indoors, but you can't see where you're going because there are sliding doors that open. And the last set of doors, you have to brake before. Assuming you don't want to fall at the end, which is how you lose, first to stop wins rather than first to finish, which is interesting. Bit fast paced. I'd like to use that in there. My brain. Okay. Go out from the temple, not across the bridge, into the moat. There'll be not a set of doors. Go through them, you encounter the maze. I've spent far too many hours lost in that maze. When you tell people about my city, they build houses for them to live in, or games for you to play, including a which way race. A colour will emerge on screen, and you drive up a track, and there'll be two doors. One of them, game over. You lose. The other, you continue to the next stage. They each have a colour on them. Drive to the correct one. Sandpolis is where you play football with cars and roulette with your car. And although I wouldn't quite call it a minigame, that's also let's, for legal reasons, call it a weather balloon. Nothing else. Just a weather balloon. In Chestnut Canyon, you can drive over a narrow metal pathway above a broiling lake of lava to fetch some guy's tool case. I've fallen off 1,000,001 times. Or you can go rock climbing instead. Find the way up a rock face. Mushroom Road. Not a mini game, but you can drive into the lake and talk to the goddess of the lake. As one does. Normal everyday stuff. You can play golf, which I'm surprisingly good at. Again, you're a car, so it's car golf. You drive into the golf ball to send it flying. In White Mountain, you might be expecting winter sports. And you'd be correct, you can play curling as a car. If you choose to go to that little tunnel in the mountain, to Papaya Island, you play beach flag. You start off driving in one direction, you have to turn around and get a flag on the islands of the beach. In Cloud Hill, You drive along, jump up a ramp through some rings to rainbows, and hopefully land on a platform without falling off the other side. Alternatively, there is a duck that asks you trivia. You might be thinking, a duck in a game about cars. Yep, the body of that car is a duck, a big yellow duck. Which is even weirder than the guy that drives around as a rocking horse or a ladybird. Or as a car with a pumpkin head. It's a very odd game. Well, it's an odd game, an interesting game, and I hope this has been an interesting video. If you like me, and I really hope you do, hit like, and if you love me, or my content, hit subscribe. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to drive a fire engine with monster truck tyres off a cliff into the ocean.